Hello everyone and welcome to another YouTube video. Now, contrary to what I usually do, I am going to try asking you guys to like, subscribe and share the content at the start of the video, just because I know not everyone reaches the end, and as well as we're really close to 100 subs. It would be really cool. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys want me to do anything to celebrate 100 subscribers. If not, we'll just keep on posting the content and I'll keep on doing my best to try and teach you guys how to maybe improve Valorant, maybe find a new character that you like, or anything of the sort. Now, as you can see, today we are looking at none other than Breach, one of my favorite characters in the game, one of the best designed characters in the game in my opinion when it comes to actually the way each and every single one of his abilities look, the way they are equipped, the way they function, and just the overall feel of such an awesome character. Now, as always, we'll be going through the abilities in the order of C, Q, E, and the ultimate. If you have changed your buttons or if you have different bindings, we will be looking at the Aftershock, the Flash, the Stun, Straight Line, and Breach's ultimate. Notable Breach players, as far as I'm aware, are only Elementrix. He's the only one that I've heard of, although I haven't really seen much content being posted from him recently. But if you are interested in learning how to play Breach correctly, I suggest watching some of his older content, as I can only give you my take on how to play such an awesome character. As you can see, contrary to what we usually do, we are on Icebox today. This is for two reasons. Number one, I think Breach really thrives on this map because of the wet layout of the map and all the straight lines, as well as the fact that I need the minimap to actually show you how Breach works, and because you don't actually have a minimap in the training range, I can't exactly show you his abilities. But without further ado, I suggest we begin. Breach's first ability has an amazing load up animation. He fires a shot right into his arm that then starts it rotating and firing electricity everywhere. When you have a surface, you will fire the shot. The shot will go behind the surface and it will pulse 3 times. Pulses deal greater damage at the center with less damage on the sides, and it only takes 2 pulses in the center to kill an enemy, and all 3 pulses on the very edge to kill an enemy should the enemy be on the edge. I think each pulse deals about maybe 60 damage, maybe 80 damage, somewhere in that range. Probably more akin to 80, just because it can kill. This Breach Aftershock can also kill Killjoy ultimates, which is why Breach is a very, very good counter to Killjoy. As you can see on the minimap, the range of the Aftershock is actually quite significant. It can cover the entire distance all the way to there. So it can be used for two reasons. You can either use it to clear out corners, or you can more effectively use, or you can also make use of it by cutting off an angle so that you can scare people from pushing you if you're playing a bit more defensive. Breach's Aftershock is quite an expensive ability, costing 250 credits. It is one of those abilities that requires a lot of skill to use, and on its own, while slightly lackluster, it can defend from a spike diffusal. However, you are much more likely to use it in tandem with Breach's E, but we will get to that when the time comes. Breach's Q, the Flash, probably one of the most annoying yet easy to counter flashes in the game, is a flash that requires a wall to work. The way it works is Breach loads up the flash in his hand by creating this very interesting claw look. Can I point out Breach has the coolest hands in the game? Like, let's be honest, when I saw this character I really wanted to main him, but he was never really quite the meta pick for anything. Really, really cool character. Anyone who's one-tricking Breach will find very good use out of him, but if you've just picked him up, you might find that he's actually quite a bit harder to play than you'd think. Breach's flash pops off after a 1-second delay. It creates a very, very loud winding up noise, and it blinds for a very, very long time. It feels like years, although I imagine it's more like a second and a half, maybe 2 seconds. The flash is super effective for setting up for your teammates, because the pullout time of the gun is quite long, and you actually will probably get killed by the enemy before you get to kill them unless they get full flashed. Ideally, the Breach Flash has no travel range and it can go through any surface. In fact, you can shoot it from there and it will actually blind on that side of the wall. This is why the minimap was important. You can even do silly things like, I don't know why it's showing that, but you can flash like this on this side of the wall. And you can also flash out there by flashing there, so you can make some really interesting setups and lineups for your team. Like you can have Breach come up to here, tell him to flash there. You've just officially created the flash for mid boiler, which will allow your team to push through mid. I've just discovered the new tech for you, all you Breach mains out there. He has 2 flashes in his kit. They are non-refundable and they cost 250 credits each. My bad. And the aftershock is 200 credits. As for the flashes, the way to counter them, much like every flash in the game, is to just turn your back. They only last about 0.25 of a second if you do turn your back. It's really weird because whenever you play against Breach, you just know not to look at walls. It's one of those things where you don't look at the loud incoming danger noise, you know, you turn around whenever you hear it. Breach needs to be very, very smart to make correct and creative use of his flashes, I should note. They're not as easy as, let's say, a Phoenix flash, where you can just use it and jump around and find some level of success with it. Breach's next ability, his standard ability, is a long-range straight-line stun. Now, as with most abilities in this game that display the character's location, they are a double-edged sword. Breach's stun travels a very long distance, it can almost reach into spawn from here, and anything it touches in a straight line, it will stun. The stun lasts a significant enough time to where it can result into killing the enemies. However, it should be noted that the stun in this game is probably the least effective method of crowd control, because it can still result in you getting killed. Breach's stun is on a 40-second cooldown. Once it's been used, it immediately goes on cooldown, and anyone caught in the line will be stunned. It should be noted that before the stun actually pops, there is a 1-second delay, which means that certain characters or people caught on the very edge of the stun will actually have more than enough time to get away from it. What people won't have enough time to get away from unless they play to counter it is Breach's ultimate. This ability is actually a little misleading, because believe it or not, it will actually reach the very edge of the site even from here. It's very hard to escape it, because the waves aren't shown to you sequentially, instead it's a big block for clarity. When used correctly, Breach's stun, his ultimate, will cover an entire site in waves, popping one after the other. It will launch the enemies into the air and give the team a very rewarding "let's go" shout. As he completely demolishes an entire site. And as you can see right there, even though the edge of my ultimate wasn't really at the wall, when using it, it will actually hit the wall as well. It actually travels above all terrain and there's no way to escape it. Even updrafting on top of the wall will still actually stun you in the air. Trust me, I have tried. His ultimate requires a lot of planning, and it's not really effectively used from a distance, because once cast you actually walk very slow and you might not be able to make use of the ultimate. Ideally, it is used to stop spike diffusals or to help a team completely rush down a site and ensure that there's no one there. On paper, Breach is supposed to be very, very strong character. He's got 2 very long range, very easy to use abilities because they are literally just holding, clicking, stun goes off. However, in practice, because the stun is just such a weird form of crowd control in this game specifically, it makes him really, really hard to find success. As I've said, people who main Breach and who play this character a lot, they will know certain things most players don't. And one thing Breach is really good for is building up game sense. Because if you can't, because Breach is an initiator that doesn't have the ability to gain information. Something similar to no other character, maybe Sky. Sky is quite similar to Breach in that aspect. But she can even still gain information by calling out the blinding when she blinds people with her birds. Whereas Breach, he sort of has to guess around to see where the enemies might be. If Riot added a ping to Breach's stun, like one where any person hit gets pinged for 0.25 seconds, that would be really, really good for the team. I don't think it would make him overpowered. If anything, I think that would be a buff that would actually bring him into the meta quite a bit. Obviously, his ultimate can't have that, because that would be very strong. Just knowing that people were hit by your ultimate because of its much shorter range than your E, all things considered, would mean that the ultimate would become quite overpowered. But come on, like, Breach hasn't been top tier since the beginning of the game. It really wouldn't hurt to make him be a really top tier character, right? But that has been the Breach video. I didn't really have anything else to add. There's not really any hidden tech. Combos that you can do with Breach involving other characters like Astra or Fade are the Fade tag and Aftershock, or the Astra suck and Aftershock. But if you want to do combos like that, you're better off doing it with a character like Raze, where you're more likely to hit multiple targets. All in all, Breach is a very good one-trick character. If this video makes you want to try Breach, I recommend playing him for at least 15 games, and only on the 15th game making your decision about whether you like the character or not, because that will give you a really good idea of how you have improved as a player, and also how Breach has improved while in control. I have been Venter Black 3. Thank you everyone for watching, and I will catch you all later. Goodbye.